What is going on, everyone? What's happening? What's going on? It's another Monday morning. We know how this goes. Monday blows. But at least we have our coffee here to help us get through. Jake starts us off by saying we couldn't buy a bucket last night. And yeah, you're not wrong. That Sixers team had wide open looks. I thought Joel Embiid did a good job at passing the ball. You just weren't having the shots fall, and that puts you in a predicament for sure. Ooh, that first sip always goes down funky because I don't know how hot it is, and it's always so damn hot. But we are rocking the hazelnut coffee once again. I go through my stages of it for like a week straight. I'll do the same coffee, and then I'll change it for the next week. But right now, we're still rocking the hazelnut. What do I think about Embiid MVP? I think right now he's the MVP. I think right now he's dominating at another level. Now, last night, you saw the Raptors throw a couple different looks at Embiid to throw him off rhythm, to throw him off balance, and he wasn't able to be the Joel Embiid that we are accustomed to seeing. And I hope that this is not the blueprint to somewhat give him rough nights, although it did sure seem like they had something going down. Good morning, Aiden. Thanks for coming in, man. I appreciate this. This Monday morning stings a bit more than usual. Is that all because of the Sixers loss? Is it the combination of the Sixers and the Flyers? I'm going to take this lid off right now. The Flyers game was so pathetic, and I didn't even put up a post-game pod because I was going back and forth in my head. You have a team where Friedman and Sam Morin is playing forward. They're both playing wing. What do you want me to do with that game? When you have AHL-level defensemen playing forward for you. It's a joke, right? Like, yes, we can get into the Carter Hart problems where he looks bad, all right? Carter Hart looks bad right now. I also think that's because there's a lot of problems in front of him, which results in him having poor play. But a lot of those goals last night, you got to have. You have to make those short side goals. It's obvious that teams, specifically the Bruins last night, we're targeting high glove. Carter Hart has to be better, but a lot of that is team-oriented. It's hard. It's hard to really assess last night, considering it was a joke. You had equivalent to me playing out there. Well, what do you think's going to happen when you play the Boston Bruins? You can't even beat them when you're healthy. 0-5 versus Boston. Yeah, that's true. When your other guys are available, you still struggle to beat that team. But once again, expectations-wise, then why would you think anything other than this is going to get ugly? Because that's exactly what happened. Thank you, John, for giving me the love on the logos. Pasta looked unstoppable. He is unstoppable. I don't know how you beat him. That goal, that short side goal on Carter Hart was filthy. At some inside of me, some emotions say Carter Hart has to stop that. The other side goes, wow, was that a hell of a shot? Is Boston really that good, or is the East not as good as we thought? No, I think Boston's good. When you have Marchand, when you have Bergeron, when you have Pasta, you're in a good position. Tuukka Rask as well. Now, you lost Zdeno Chara, but you still have Charlie McAvoy, and how crazy is that? You end up getting a goal because of a broken stick, and then seconds later, he puts a rocket on net. Now, that's the one Carter Hart has to make. Some will make the argument that Ivan Provorov and I forget who was net front in front of him, but they were screening Carter Hart. When he went down into the butterfly, that went through him, literally through him. Carter Hart has to make that save. Just has to happen. Is Ben Simmons reaching a new level? There is something to be said about this new mentality that he has. Can it continue? I don't know. We've seen aggressive Ben Simmons so many times. It's like a broken record. We've seen this guy compete at this level before. This isn't, while it is new, it's not new. It's new this year because earlier this year was more of, hey, get everyone on this team surrounding you open looks. Get them going a bit more. Get them those threes. Now he seemed to put the shoulder down and be more aggressive, which I love. But we have seen aggressive Ben Simmons before. I just wonder, and it keeps coming down to it, what will we see in May and June? Thank you, Sebastian. I appreciate that. If we split this 2-game stretch with Toronto, I'll be content. Absolutely. I need to see a good bounce back tonight. Or excuse me, Tuesday night, 7:30. They play 7:30 on Tuesday. I would love to see a bounce back game, see what Joel Embiid has to offer from a counter standpoint. I'm interested to see what we got here. We got to have guys hit their shots. When Tobias Harris starts out 0 for 6, I don't think that's something that's normal. I don't think that's standard for Tobias. Let's say he hits 2 of his first 4. Well, how does that change the flow and the rhythm of the first quarter? Does that change what the Raptors are going to do with their philosophy? Are they going to continue to try and trap Joel Embiid and have Tobias try and beat them? Well, what if Tobias is having one of his nights? What if Tobias is having one of his strong performances? This is as ugly can get for him. What if he just has a mediocre outing? Well, I just feel that changes the perspective on how you have to defend Joel because, well, guess what? Tobias isn't going to be 1 for 9 from 3 in majority of games. Why can't the Flyers beat the Bruins? I don't know. It's a mental game with them. Every time they see that Bruins logo, they collapse. Now, I'll be honest. I didn't really like the Lake Tahoe thing. I understand what they were going for. I don't fault the NHL for doing it. Clearly, it's a money grab. It's a, hey, let's try and make some money. This is a cool situation that we're in, considering there's no fans. But with the glare and the first period was abysmal to watch. It got better as the sun went down. The execution was poor. The idea was fine, but I'm not all about it. Put them in a normal rink. I'll be okay with a normal hockey game, to be honest. And I feel like that's probably not a hot take, but I would imagine majority liked it more than majority didn't like it. Ben Simmons for MVP. Jeff, I don't know how you can think that. You are joking, right? That's not something you are being serious about? Why didn't Mike Scott play yesterday? I think Doc Rivers just tried something new when it came to the rotation. And if I remember correctly, I'm just double checking here, but yeah, Tyrese Maxey got no run either. I was going to say, I'm pretty positive Tyrese Maxey got no run. I think when your bench play is that bad, you kind of have to try some new things. And here's your bench. Matisse Thybulle, 0 points in 16 minutes. Isaiah Joe, 3 points in 12 minutes. I like Isaiah Joe. I've clearly been screaming to upgrade Furkan Korkmaz for quite some time. He stunk out loud. Dwight Howard, 4 points in 10 minutes. That's about as a Dwight Howard type of night as you're going to get. My point is your bench stinks. Your bench significantly stinks. Shake Milton in 30 minutes had 9 points. Wasn't very efficient. He missed a lot of shots early. He ended up having that spurt of 3 threes, which was his night, his only positive in the night. But coming off an injury, it's hard for me to demand and scream that Shake Milton goes out and dominates. But this is somewhat of the version you've been getting of Shake Milton. I'm not going to lie to you. This is kind of what we've seen. If you go through his game log, the efficiency rate, it's similar to what you saw last night. Zach Wilson or Justin Fields? I think you rock and roll with what you got right now. Isaiah Joe took Korkmaz's minutes. Yeah, and Korkmaz. I remember all those games where, let me start over, because it wasn't like there was thousands of them. But there were moments when last year he'd drop a bunch of points and everyone loved Furkan. And I said, hold the phone, damn it. Stop. Don't overreact to this nonsense. He's a bum. All right. Furkan Korkmaz is a stiff. But God forbid I said that while he was knocking down some shots, knowing that big picture, he blows. Well, what do you know? Now those same individuals are on my side. Funny how that works. Brodes, do you think JT is going to be ready for opening day? I do, just based off of the way that they're kind of handling this. And even if he's not, I'm not that concerned. I'm not in this mindset of I'm scared or anything like that when it comes to JT. I think he'll be fine. Furkan is so bad. I know, Jake. I know. I've only been screaming it for 3 years now. And I've been doing this for just over 3 years. 4 years now. Geez, time's flying by. I've been screaming it from the mountaintops. He blows. Blows. But you know what this means? Tuesday night against the Raptors, he might have 35. Hilarious. Boucher averaging 43 from 3, and we left him wide open. Yeah, I thought the defense struggled at times. Like, you're allowing these guys to get open looks. How ugly is that shot, though? Slow developing, over the head. Like, what the hell was that? Goes in, but it looks so slow. Cassius, he was knocking him down, and he's blocking Joel Embiid. My man's blocking Joel Embiid, and Joel knew it right away. You saw no complaining. You saw no turning of the head, mouth wide open. He went right back to the defensive side and acknowledged, okay, I just got my ass blocked. Do I think the Phillies make the playoffs? Sadly, I do not. I do not think they make the playoffs, but I think they give you a good, fun season. What do we most desperately need to improve the bench other than making Furkan a garbage time player? I think you need a primary ball handler that has some veteran experience that can create a little bit off the bounce. The problem is I'm not going to tell you that there's billions of those options out there. I know that George Hill was a name that was thrown around about last week or so. George Hill, I wish I would have a little bit more of a shot creator than that, but if that's what you get, that's kind of what you get. I'm going to look at his numbers this year in his 14 games with, OKC. 38% from 3, almost 39%, averaging just about 12 points per game. You're probably looking at something like a George Hill, and I'm giving you like a legitimate answer. If you want me to say Devin Booker, then I can tell you Devin Booker. If you want me to say Bradley Beal, I'll tell you Bradley Beal. But in reality, what does this team need? I mean, they need three-point shooting, and they need a point guard that you can put the ball in his hands and say, hey, go run this offense better than Shake Milton does. Because I think Shake Milton can be a better role off the ball right now as we see him. And then you can add that layer of, okay, when things are ugly, when you need to go to this secondary unit, you have someone that you can rely on to calm things down and help be the guy to calm the nerves. Because whenever you go to the bench now, you explode as a team. You just saw this Sixer squad have double-digit leads, and what do? You go to this bench rotation. And I think at times Doc needs to realize that, hey, maybe you don't go with this, let's see what happens technique, because it's continuing to blow up on your face. Now, after the game, Doc was asked about the bench, and he said, this wasn't how it was all year long. Our bench wasn't this bad all year long, so we just need to figure it out and make some tweaks. And you're right, Doc, you're right. This wasn't who they were all year long, but you're now starting to see a common trend. At what point is that trend now a reality? There's a lot that happened early on that's not happening now. It's called getting in the season. It's called having more of a sample size. If you think who you were 10, 15 games in is who you are, well, come on. Teams figure you out. You become back to, you get back to who you are. Like there's a getting back to the average side of things. It gets back to a sample size. You can't just look at what you did early on and say that's who you were. It's a flawed mindset. You should start playing video games and stream, Brodes. We're working on some things behind the scenes, and I keep teasing that. But, yeah, we have some big news coming. I'll leave it at that. I want to drop the news, but at the same time, I don't know if it's time yet to drop the news. I need Phillies postseason baseball. Yeah, you're telling me, dude. I'm right there with you. I felt like I was 3 years old the last time I saw a meaningful Phillies game in some cold weather. Inside the Birds is excited. Not worried about the Sixers' loss. Just missed open shots and played sloppy defense. Not going to happen every night. Jason, I'm with you. I feel the same way. This team missed open opportunities. They passed the ball. The ball movement was fantastic. I mean, you have to credit their ball movement. It was good. It was solid. The defense, though, that you bring up, that is starting to become something that is happening a lot more than I anticipated. So the sloppy defense, while I'm with you with the open shots not falling, I think the sloppy defense needs to have more of a target on that side of things. It is a problem. You saw it with the West Coast swing, and you're starting to see it a lot. So is that who they are? We're going 16-0 and winning the Super Bowl. Josh is going to have a heart attack. You're unbelievable. Brodes, would you take Lonzo off the bench if money could somehow finesse a trade for him? I'm not this huge Lonzo guy. Would he hurt the team? I don't think he would hurt the team. I'm not a big Lonzo guy, though, to be honest with you. Here's where I'll have the issue. And hold on, let me put the lid back on because it's getting to a temperature that I'm not enjoying. Let's go into a little bit of Lonzo Ball's game log. Because I think there is something to this. Because one of the issues with this team is still spacing. And, all right, he is, wow, all right. He's at 39% from three. I didn't realize it was that high at Lonzo Ball, so that is a little bit surprising from me. I did not realize it was to that level. If you go to his game log, he is balling a bit. I mean, like I said, obviously I never thought he would hurt your team, but I'm just looking at it from what he can do from three-point range and what he can do from, I'm just thinking like George Hill, Lonzo Ball. Obviously, Lonzo Ball is a younger, more upside player. I would like Lonzo Ball if it would fit. You got to finesse some things. Yeah, I mean, Lonzo Ball would intrigue me. To answer your question, Lonzo Ball would intrigue me. I'm not going to lie to you. I don't watch too much New Orleans Pelicans basketball to really dissect his game heavily this season. But I do think that you need somebody that can shoot off the dribble, that can create for their team, that can slow things down. I would think more veteran, though. Like, I do think there's a side of Lonzo Ball that fits in that. Can you really rely on him, right? Like, he's not this veteran piece that's been around the block, that has a lot of experience in playoff moments. I want that. I want that to calm things down. While I think Lonzo might be a better player than some of those veteran experienced guards, is that what you're looking for right now? Maybe that's a silly way to look at it. Maybe you should just look at the better talent side of things. I don't know, though. Because I always tell you that when it comes to basketball in May and June, it comes down to grown men. It comes down to the experienced one. It comes down to the 30, 31, 32, 33-year-olds that understands the game and has the knowledge of the game that some of these young cats just don't have. And does Lonzo Ball fit in that category? And would that force you to look in another direction? I'm just spitballing. I'm just throwing things at the wall and seeing what sticks. I'm just rambling at the side of my mouth here, but I do think that there's some validity to what I'm saying. Why am I a Bulls hater? Am I a Bulls hater? Do I think McDavid could get 100 points in a 56-game season? I do. I also think that Austin Matthews can have a 50-goal season in a 56-game season. He's on pace. My man has 18 goals in 18 games, and Austin Matthews is now a superstar. And with that statement, I just want to let you know that today we dropped, and when I say we, Kevin Durso and I, he's the Flyers insider for 97.3 ESPN, we dropped Open Ice Hits Episode 3, where we talked about Sidney Crosby's 1,000th game. We talked about Lake Tahoe, Austin Matthews becoming a superstar, and Johnny Gaudreau of the Calgary Flames joined us to talk about the recent stretch of the Flames, which they're in a tough pickle. They lost 3 in a row. They got beat bad 7-1 against the Edmonton Oilers on Saturday night. And that's one of the hottest rivalries in sports, the Battle of Alberta. So he joined to share his thoughts. So Open Ice Hits Episode 3 is on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google Podcasts, and also the YouTube channel right here on Sports Talk with Brodes. So make sure you check that out. It was a fun show. Crosby sucks. No, he does not, actually. Believe it or not, Sidney Crosby does not suck. My thoughts on Jalen Hurts, Jesse. I think that he is someone that showed you there's upside there. We need to wait and see what he can do, but he gave you enough to make you feel like there's something there. Franchise quarterback? I don't think so. Something there? Maybe. Maybe. I did see a lot of videos of him getting to work, ready to go to work, working on a lot of footwork things, throwing the football on practice fields. And I just wonder if there's a new mentality for him because he's heading into the season as the starter. Before, it was Carson Wentz's team. There was no OTAs. The COVID-19 situation screwed up everything. Now it's my team. The way he's thinking, it's my team. And we know that upstairs, he's smart. He's motored the right way. He's got a very unique, strong mental game. Is that going to help him be something different this season and have him take a leap that we're all not anticipating? Because, look, to go from 4 games and going 1-3 to something serious, well, that's a big jump. But maybe he's just preparing the right way and preparing in a different way that really boosts his confidence and boosts his technique. And the problem is one of his flaws is arm strength. Well, there's only so much you can do in that area. You can work on delivering the football. You can work on accuracy. You can work with your wide receivers. You can work on certain areas and tweak things. But arm strength, your arm strength is what it is. And that's one of the biggest concerns out of him. Colts-Lions Super Bowl. I would say no, would be my guess. Brodes, what's your thoughts on Carter Hart? I think he sucked yesterday. I think he's had a bad season. He's had strong moments, but this is a down year for Carter Hart. I think the correlation, though, is the team in front of him, but so many moments of just poor, abysmal play at a Carter Hart. Am I concerned long-term? No, not really, but that doesn't change the fact that he has flat out sucked in plenty of moments this season. So do I still think he's going to be a great goalie? Absolutely. I really do. I think Carter Hart will be fine in this league. Once again, that doesn't change that he has flat out been miserable throughout a lot of moments this year. Some of that being his own fault. Some of that being the defenseman in front of him. Is Posturenock a top 2 goal scorer? Yeah, I mean, I'm going to say he's up there, but he's not top 2. Because Austin Matthews, Alexander Ovechkin, those are the first 2 names I think about when it comes to goal scoring. So no, maybe not top 2, but top in the league for sure. Pasta scores at will. Would you be opposed to trading down in the draft? Personally, I think that's my favorite scenario for the Eagles. Chase or Smith are sexy picks, but I think this team has a lot of holes. Dominic, this team does have a lot of holes. I'm not against trading down. I'm also not against getting a guy who's going to be a stud. Stop bullshitting. Stop getting too cute. The same people that don't like Howie's moves for getting too cute purposes, well, they would be the same ones that would get mad at him for not trading down. And I'm not saying you specifically. I'm talking in a general sense. But I'm just saying you can get a hot item guy that will be a stud. You can get a guy that will change your franchise. You will get a guy that will help your offense tremendously. You have that. You have that option. Go get that option. Stop beating around the bush. Stop trying to be too pretty. Go get that guy. So I get that approach. I really do. And I would be okay with that approach. I would support that approach. But just like you, Dominic, I would also understand with so many flaws, with so many issues, trying to patch that up with a couple different picks. I'm not against it. It just comes down to execution. If they do that and they have the idea of trading down and then they miss on both of their picks, well, I'm not going to say I accept it because I understood your philosophy. You also have to execute it as well. Similar to if you stay at 6 to go, quote, get your guy, get your stud, and you whiff, and you go out on a limb and get someone who stinks, I'm not going to support going out and just getting your guy at 6 if it doesn't pan out. You got to execute as well. Fire Howie, Mike says. Been hearing that for years now. Kevin O'Connor just said Philadelphia is still seeking major moves to increase its championship odds. And one name to monitor is Kyle Lowry. Yeah, Kyle Lowry's name's been floating around there. Now, I don't know how the Toronto Raptors feel about Kyle Lowry because he the team is now starting to play better basketball. They were abysmal. They were bad. They were losing a lot, and then they somewhat found their rhythm more, and they become a better version of themselves. Will the Raptors still try and shop him, or do they look at their window now as maybe they can compete? Do you think that Joel was too impatient on offense last night? He took way too many mid-range jumpers early in the possessions. That's what Joel Embiid has done all year. Joel Embiid has been taking so many mid-range jumpers. This team statistically has a lot of shots right inside the three-point line. Well, a lot of it has to do with Joel Embiid. Joel Embiid takes a lot of mid-range jumpers. It's never an issue until last night. I also thought, though, that no, he wasn't too impatient because they weren't giving him time and space. They were getting on him as soon as they started getting Joel Embiid the basketball right over the half-court line. Once they did that, he didn't have the space and time to do what he normally does, whether it's jab step, whether it's wait to start backing down the defender and doing a spinorama, whether it's the Olajuwon footwork, because they didn't allow him to do it. Once he got the ball, he had to be quick with making decisions, which I thought he did. And I thought the team had wide open looks and there was good ball movement. There just wasn't good execution. That is true, Eagles underdog. And B did have a couple hooks in the fourth that went in and out, and it somewhat bounced around and rattled around the rim. I did think in the third quarter, though, while the Raptors went on one of their runs, Embiid had some sloppy turnovers and tried to do too much and tried to target the paint area, which the Raptors swarmed pretty good. Baines logged in 30 minutes. I can't get over Boucher's night. And Fred VanVleet, what he did in the first quarter was ridiculous. He finished with about 13, 14 points in the first quarter. The Raptors closed out on a 16-0 run after the Sixers had a crazy spurt in the beginning of the game to have a double-digit lead. VanVleet was chucking balls off the backboard. It was crazy, man. It really was. Thoughts on moving on from Reese Hoskins and Scotty? Yeah, I'd be totally down for that. I think both of those guys are what they are. Now, Joe Girardi mentioned Reese Hoskins, and if they're expecting him to be ready to play the field, first base that is, on opening day, and he made it seem like, yeah, we do. We do expect him to be out there. Well, he stinks at first base. But do I think Miles Sanders is a top 10 running back? Yes. Problem is, you don't get enough touches. Now, I'm going to go through the list. I'm going to go through the list to see if there's some guys on there that where I would put him. So, Christian McCaffrey, I guess my answer to yes so quickly, maybe we have to, let's reassess things. Let's have this conversation together. Christian McCaffrey is better than him. Saquon Barkley is better than him. I know you guys will probably scream that Zeke is not, but he is. Alvin Kamara, Dalvin Cook, Derrick Henry, Nick Chubb. Now on this list from Pro Football Network, they have Joe Mixon, they have Josh Jacobs, and they have Aaron Jones. I think Miles Sanders could be in that category where you have your personal preference, right? So after Nick Chubb, I think it starts to become more of, okay, it's who do you prefer? But the top seven is solidified. Is Miles Sanders better than Josh Jacobs? Is Miles Sanders better than Joe Mixon? Is Miles Sanders better than Aaron Jones? If you put Aaron Jones on the Eagles and you put Miles Sanders with Green Bay, with Aaron Rodgers, with Devontae Adams, do you get a different version of Miles Sanders? The thing that makes me feel Miles Sanders is so damn lethal is that home run ability. While some of these running backs give you constant numbers, constant chunk yards, there's a difference between a guy who gives you 6, 5 yards at a constant pace, and then Miles Sanders who gives you 1, gives you 2, gives you 1.5, gives you 2, gives you 86. There's a purpose for both of those style of backs. There's roles for these specific individuals, but it's, once again, it's what you value more. Let's see if there's any other lists out there. Josh Jacobs is overrated. Josh Jacobs is so overrated. Zeke is trash. Classic. Classic. All right, what else is there? Top 10 running backs in the NFL. James Robinson, J.K. Dobbins. All right, I think we're starting to Jonathan Taylor, Derrick Henry, Dalvin Cook. Okay, this is NFL.com's list. So just to give it a different perspective, you have what's going on here? We got some music playing. Why do we have this? What's going on? I don't want this. All right. Here's their list. Derrick Henry at 1, Dalvin Cook at 2, Alvin Kamara, Nick Chubb, Jonathan Taylor, Aaron Jones, David Montgomery, James Robinson, Josh Jacobs, J.K. Dobbins. All right. Now, Miles Sanders deserves to be on that list, in my opinion. Is this a projected thing? All right. That's on January 6th. And that's from Jones Drew. He's the one that wrote the list. I'm going to have a conversation with him. All right. I don't believe in what he's telling us there. I think he deserves to be on that list. Pags, rocking and rolling on this Monday with the $10 donation. As always, cheers, brother. Thank you so much for the $10. You're amazing. You're the best. I'm so thankful. I'm so grateful. Thank you. Thank you so much. Pags, did you watch the Flyers game yesterday? The Silent King says, loved your post-game pod to the 50-piece by Joel. Yeah, I thought that one was prime. Prime reaction, prime emotion, prime just letting it out there. You know, I just had so much fun watching that game. It was a joy. Some of these regular season games, I don't have that. I did, though, watching Joel Embiid dominate for a 50-piece. That was fun. It really was. Miles was the most fun thing to watch. Well, the problem is you barely got to watch him because he wouldn't get enough carries. Doug Peterson wouldn't give him the damn rock enough. Oh, man, I got to stretch out my legs. Oh, yeah. Well, Christian McCaffrey wasn't on that list because he wasn't available. That's why he wasn't on that 2021 list due to injuries. So it does make sense. How much money does it take to pound the coffee, Brodes? I don't know. You tell me. If something pops up that makes me feel like I'll down the rest of this thing in one gulp, then, that's up to you to make that happen, I guess. Doug Peterson was frustrating. Yes, he was. He was. I thought the vertical routes were too extreme. I thought the simplified, very vanilla offense was so basic. How do you watch what's happening around the league and think to yourself, this is what's good for the offense? And don't tell me, well, Wentz sucked. There's more to it than that. Doug Peterson has had the most vanilla offense since he's gotten into the league. He's been here for 5 seasons. You've seen nothing change. It's the same thing over and over again, and I think coaches made the adjustment and realized what Doug Peterson is. I think that's the problem. When was the last time we had a top 10 wide receiver in the NFL? D-Jax when he was younger? Yeah, but my point on, I guess my pushback on that would be, you don't need that. You won a Super Bowl without that. You don't need that one stud, insane guy that you pay all this money to. You got to find the right balance. Julio Jones, like these receivers that get paid this big time contract. You just need the right team constructed around you. You need good wide receivers. You need way better than what you have. You don't need elite. You have to have it. Number 1, Julio Jones. That's overreacting. You got to find the right guys, though. So in terms of when was the last time they had a top 10 receiver? You don't need a top 10 receiver to win. You need good receivers. You need good playmakers. You need the right combination. I do think that there's an overreaction, though, to the receivers as well, right? Like there is a balance. As long as you have a solid core, you will be fine. Look at the teams like San Francisco with young receivers like Debo and Ayuk. A good core is fine. The difference between that, Jake, is they actually have a head coach that is so damn, what's the word? Creative. That's the word I'm looking for. So damn creative to allow them to succeed and thrive. You need that here. Is Nick Sirianni that man? I don't know. Do you think you can win a Super Bowl with Hurts? Not if he's the version of himself of last year. No. I'm going to give him time to grow. I'm not demanding him to walk in and just be this lethal version in year 2 that just goes and wins a Super Bowl, because that's not standard. That's not normal. That's not how this league works. There's so much growing pains involved in being an NFL quarterback. But I'm just saying, if he doesn't grow, if he doesn't become better, is this version good enough to win a Super Bowl? Absolutely not. Every second half, he got abused. Every second half, he got confused. Their legs will only get you so far. This whole Kyler Murray, Lamar Jackson, Jalen Hurts, while everyone is so enamored by it, there is something to be said about it not working, it being the downfall, it being a problem. You can only rely on your legs for so damn long. You need to have that other part to your game, or it will not be beneficial to the level that you need it to be to win a championship. Hurts only won one game. You are correct. What is Fulgham to you? Adrian? I have no idea. I really don't. This guy was a stud for 4 games. High point in the football, going up and getting it, grabbing the ball, beating receivers one-on-one. And then you're hearing a lot about his personality. You're hearing a lot about his work ethic. You're hearing a lot about bad body language in practice. And then he doesn't see any playing time. But we've seen this organization how many times give a lot of leash to veteran players that come back from injury. Alshon Jeffrey comes back, and all of a sudden, Fulgham becomes a bad guy. Fulgham has bad body language as soon as Alshon comes back. Or was it this organization pushed Alshon back, forced him to play, which pissed off Travis Fulgham, even though Alshon Jeffrey didn't deserve to get any time? And I'm not saying that means Fulgham handled it the right way, but I'm just trying to see, is there a correlation between allowing Jason Peters to get his time back whenever he returned and giving these veteran guys with a ton of money that don't deserve to play playing time? Is that what correlated to Travis Fulgham being upset and not being happy? Because he thought he was being done dirty, if you will. Ethan, hey, Brodes. What's up, Ethan? What's happening? Fitzpatrick is an awesome backup quarterback. I'd be cool with him. He's actually probably top on my list if I was looking at it. Sixers are reported in seeing a major move to increase their championship odds. Yeah, it's not breaking news, right? Isn't that kind of, what, is Kevin O'Connor the one bringing this out? We've been knowing this, though. Well, no, Kevin O'Connor didn't say this. Did Kevin O'Connor say this? Someone tweeted or commented in the chat, I should say, and mentioned something about Kevin O'Connor. But, yeah, I mean, this isn't breaking news. We knew they were going to make a push. We knew that there was going to be something happening here with Daryl Morey. So just kind of wait and see mode. That's all. Pitts at 6. I guess the more and more you hear about him, he's more than just a tight end. You can line him up in many different spots. He's a weapon. You can maybe use him on the outside. The more and more you hear reports on him. But that happens throughout all the drafts. There's a player that everyone likes, and then as the draft gets closer, you like him more. You hear more about him. You get all juiced up about him. It normally happens with a lot of quarterbacks. There's quarterbacks that you think about early on, and then as the weeks move forward and as everything progresses, that quarterback goes from, let's say, a 4.2 on someone's 5-star rating to a 4.8, and things intensify a bit more. So it's kind of standard. Who do I want the Eagles to draft? I honestly don't care as long as it's Surtain, Smith, Chase, Parsons, and then I guess Pitts is in there as well, although I think that you can get him elsewhere if you did trade down. I think 6 might be a reach for him if you're looking at best value possible, best player possible. Could you go in another direction at 6 over Pitts? Probably. But as long as it's one of those players, I don't care. It just has to be one of those players. Steelers need Watson. What do you mean? You got a 63-year-old quarterback. You'll be fine. Don't worry about it. You got an old quarterback. You'll be just okay. I'm not all excited about the Eagles for the first time in years. Well, yeah, you're in a disappointing spot. I'm not excited, but the word I use, and I don't think it's in a good way, I guess intrigue is the wrong word because that would almost make it seem like there's a positive behind it. But interested, because there could be some negative vibes surrounding the word interested. I'm interested to see what they do and how this plays out and how it transpires. I don't think it'll be great, but I'm interested to see what happens. Where are we here? Brodes, you excited for Philly spring training baseball this weekend? Duh. I've been waiting for Phillies baseball forever, dude. I can't wait. I can't wait for Phillies. I'm excited to break down this team every single damn night. 7 o'clock. We might even be implementing a little bit of some pregame live for these Phillies games. That's right. You heard me. Some pregame live where me and you can sit down, relax, talk Phils right into the game. So just be on the lookout for some pregame live stuff. Furcon Korkmaz with a $2 donation. Raptors are 16-0 without Kyle Lowry. LMAO. Wow. Love you. I have no idea if that is a real stat or not. I'll be honest. No clue if that's legitimate. I got nothing for you other than that. Thank you so much, Furcon. You stink as a basketball player, but you are a great donator and a fan of the show and a fantastic human being. Thank you for the $2 donation. J-Dog says, I don't know. I'm looking forward to a fresh start. It's something new after the worst season I've ever experienced. Looking forward to a fresh start. I would feel differently if Howie was gone as well. I would feel differently if it was a real fresh start. It's a fresh start with a quarterback and a head coach, which are very important pieces to a fresh start. But there's this lingering issue in play. It's still toxic. You didn't get rid of the toxic. It's like if you were to spill coffee all on the carpet and you get some of the stain out, but there's still some of the stain there. It's not that bad. It's not that awful, but there's still a stain on the carpet. That stain is Howie Roseman. That stain is the current state of the front office. So until that stain is gone and you scrub it off more, it's still there. Your dog is still going to run to that spot and his nose is going to go crazy and he'll try and lick the carpet, and you scream at him and then he gets a piece of the carpet in his mouth and then he goes, and he starts gagging on it, and then he starts throwing up, and then it's a whole process. Then I got to clean up the throw up, and then I get some of the throw up off of the carpet, not all of it, so there's still somewhat of a stain there. And then he goes back and tries to lick his own throw up, and then he eats his shit in the backyard. Woo! Unbelievable, right? I don't know where the hell I just went, but damn. Sixers didn't even play in Toronto. They played in Tampa. Yeah, I know. When I went back and listened to some of the post-game show last night, I asked why they couldn't beat this team in that building. And then I was like, damn it, they didn't even play in that building. But, look, they had the court out there. And from that angle, it felt like a Toronto game. Why can't this team, I should have said, why can't the Sixers win when the court looks like Toronto's court? That's really the question. 100% speaking from personal experience. Yeah, you're not wrong. Oh, you're not wrong. Go get the white bottle under the sink. Clean it up. All right, I will. And then she looks at it and she gives me the side eye as if, you really think that's good enough? You really think that that's good enough? Don't get married. Although I'm not married yet. Just a fiance at the moment. We got about what? Not this summer. After that, we got some days. Furcon Korkmaz comes back in with a $2 donation. Ben Simmons, so intriguing these past two games. Ben Simmons has been great. He had 11 field goals and scored 28 points. 11 field goals, 28 points out of Ben. And what is making me the most excited is everything he's doing from the line. The confidence, the swagger, the poise, the patience at the line. And realistically, too, the form. The Sam Cassell dynamic with him is paying dividends. And you're starting to see the growth in that area. If he's willing to get to that line, he'd be more willing to be aggressive. The aggressive Ben Simmons all relies on the ability to shoot the free throws and the confidence doing it. Ben Simmons is growing in that area. Eagles underdog says the deep truth in that intensity. Yes, you are correct. We don't need to clean the carpet. We need to rip the carpet right out the goddamn floor. Well, Elliot, it's funny you say that. I have to do the same thing. So my basement flooded as I'm looking over here to my right. The whole carpet, 50% of it's folded over. I see the padding underneath. We're going to have to make some moves here in the basement, unfortunately. But I did get my office built. Everything is basically done except for the painters need to come in just to touch up spots here and there. Once the painters come in early this week, we will have the full entire office set up. For this, since I bought the house in, last May, which I can't believe it's almost been a year, last June, I should say, I've been working in the corner of the basement. Now I'm going to have a full-on office, soundproof, foam everywhere, and maybe I'll do a little behind-the-scenes stuff as well to give you an idea of what we're working with. But I'm excited to get into the office. It's almost perfect timing for the big news that is coming this week. Doc said Joe can take the spot for now over me. At first, I didn't know what the hell you were talking about until I realized who sent the message. Of course, this is coming from Furkan Korkmaz himself, who is clearly a loyal listener to the show and enjoys everything I have to say about him. Doc said Joe can take the spot for now over me. Well, he deserves to. Even defensively, he shows a little bit more splash on that end. Not that he's a perfect product, but there's more splash there. Oh, we got a little bit of Carson Wentz update. Here we go. Coach wide receiver Michael Pittman told TMZ he won't give up his number 11 to Wentz. He saw how locked in I was to 11. He was like, that's cool, bro. I'm probably going to switch anyway. That was the big update. That's the big up. That's what people are talking to. That's the big Carson Wentz news today. What number he's going to wear. Well, I'm very disappointed in that being the story there. Thought there was more to it. Jersey number. Carson Wentz with 50. If I'm him, I want a fresh start as well. What day this week is the big news coming? I don't know. Maybe towards the end of the week. Maybe later on today. Maybe the middle of the week. I don't know. I gotta talk to my people. I don't know why I said it like that. I just have to figure out exactly when the best time is. Brodes, do you think you will do collabing with Philly sports YouTubers? Yeah, I'm not against anything. The problem is my schedule. My work schedule and this and my daily schedule is so beat up and so intense that it's so hard to find time that also not only just find time for myself to do it outside of what I already do, but to have that time match somebody else's time as well. Don't lie, you got people now. No, I don't got people. Can the Sixers beat the Celtics in a playoff series? Andrew, I think if you watch this basketball team this year, the Celtics, that is, sure. I think the answer is sure. This team is not that great of a basketball team. They have problems. Did you watch them play the Pelicans yesterday? Jeez, with these hiccups. Yesterday afternoon? Did you see that effort? They're not a good basketball team. They're not good. Thoughts on a baseball podcast or around the NBA podcast? Right now, I'm going to keep it where we're at with Coffee with Brodes, Sports Talk with Brodes, and then the NHL pod, which I know the NHL pod is unique because, you know, your community in the NHL is what it is. But I love the NHL. I love hockey. I watch it every single night. I'm very up with the league. So I thought that I could bring like a unique perspective on my passion that I have for the Eagles, Sixers, Phillies, Flyers, and bring that to my passion for the sport of hockey. So I understand it's somewhat of a unique community there, but for right now, I'm going to do that. But there's always a time to continue to grow Brodes Media. So I am not ruling out anything at all. Beer with Brodes in the works. Funny you said that, Greg. I had a buddy of mine text me over the weekend and ask if I'm going to do beers with Brodes. The problem is there's a couple kinks that would need to be worked out, but look, that's on the table. I mean, to think that drinking beers and watching the games isn't on the table. What's your real job other than this? I work at 97.3 ESPN down in Atlantic City, so I'm on the air with Mike Gill on the Sports Bash from 2 to 6 p.m. So I have to travel down there. I do the show for 4 hours. I have to travel back. I have to watch the games for Sports Talk with Brodes. I got to do the post-game podcast. I got to edit them and get them up there. So, you know, that's kind of my day. Coffee with Brodes in the morning. So it's pretty much all sports related, but long days though, man. Long days. But yeah, it's what I do outside of this. You don't see the excitement in hockey. you're missing out. You're missing out, but that's not a common take, or that is a common take, I should say. What was the interview process like for 97.3? I got an internship there. And then from the internship, it sort of spiraled into producing on the weekends. And then once I started producing on the weekends, I was able to fill in during the week. And when I was able to fill in during the week, it kind of all just snowballed into where we were today. I'm starting to get into hockey. How do I dive in? Well, keep watching the game. I know that's a simple answer, but to get into hockey, keep watching the game, and over time, you will start to just pick up on things. Okay, you know, what do teams do when they enter the zone a lot? When is guys driving to the net? Like you got to pick up on, like, basketball. When you watch it and you watch it over and over and over again, you get into these sets and you see, okay, well, the Sixers like to run this set, and the Sixers, okay, that's the third or fourth time they did this play. So then you learn their identity. When you watch teams like the Bruins, when you watch teams like the Toronto Maple Leafs, when you watch, I would say, first off, watch the good teams. If you're watching the Ottawa Senators and the bad teams, you're not going to have a lot of fun. Watch the Maple Leafs, watch the Canadian division, and watch them play. And when you see, okay, Austin Matthews continues to do this, Mitch Marner does this, you start to learn who they are, and you start to watch for that, and you start to have a different set of eyes on them, and then it becomes way more entertaining because you know what they're trying to do, and if they don't do it, it's like, wow, that was a good defensive play, because I know they try and do X, but they weren't allowed to do X because of the way they were defended, and it's just about, like, learning the game and studying what they do. Which team is better, Barcelona or Everton? Everton, everybody knows that. The Toffees. I haven't watched an Everton game in quite some time. I hate to break the news to all those fans out there that came to me for my Everton support. It's been quite some time. Playoff hockey's different. Playoff hockey's fantastic. Playoff hockey's the best. What's the greatest game I've ever been to? The greatest game I've ever been to. I've been asked that question before, and I think the fact that nothing checked into my brain right from the jump pretty much tells you everything you need to know. If I gave you an answer, it would be, okay, it was a good game, but it wasn't this standout game. I'm sure that there's one. And when I was younger, I would have season tickets to the Flyers, but I was so young, I don't remember game by game everything that happened. But in the late 90s, I was at a lot of Flyers games. Early 2000s, I was at a lot of Flyers games. And I'm sure that there were some that were very good, but when I'm that young, like, I don't remember play by play which game which game in Flyers history they really were. So nothing really stands out to me. And I hate to give you the answer of this, but this is almost what I would say. It wasn't even the game. But when the Flyers played the Bruins at Game 7 in Boston in 2010, I was at the Wells Fargo Center at the time watching the game on the Jumbotron when they were down 3-0 and the comeback occurred. But I was in the building. The game wasn't being played on the ice. It was in Boston, but I was there to watch it. That's almost my answer. And I feel like that's a loophole, but I think that really just describes just exactly that. I was at a Leafs-Oilers game last year, and Connor McDavid scored a beauty. Yeah, there's a good chance he scores a beauty every time he touches the ice. For me, it's Game 5, Eastern Conference Finals, 2010 for the Flyers. One of the best experiences of my life. That was a great run. That was a fantastic run. Best game I've been to by far was the NFC Championship game. That was a great one. Pretty cool moment. Yeah, pretty cool moment, but the game wasn't being played on the ice. That's the problem. Cool moment, but it's almost like, that's almost like me saying, I know it's different, but what was the best game you've ever been to? Well, I wasn't there, but I was at a bar that had a cool atmosphere when the Phillies won a big playoff game. If I brought up an NLDS game or an NLCS game where the Phillies won in a big-time moment back in their prime, and I was at a bar, and the bar erupted, isn't that almost the same answer, which is somewhat of a loophole? Do I follow the Blue Coats? Not really. I see what Paul Reed is doing, but no. Do I follow No, I don't. I don't. Do I think the Celtics should trade Kemba for a better big? That has been rumored. They got to do a lot. I'm not Danny Ainge, and I'm glad I'm not in his position right now. Although, if I'm the GM of the Boston Celtics, it's not a bad job. Maxey for D. Rose. Knicks are getting younger. Maybe they took Rose to move him for a premium. Do you think the Knicks are that smart? We all question what the hell they were doing when they made the trade. Do you think the Knicks are savvy enough to think 2 steps ahead? Let's trade for D Rose so we can trade for D Rose. I don't know if they're savvy enough for that. I wouldn't be against the mentality if I was a Knicks fan, if I was a Knicks organization. I just can't give them credit based off of their recent track record to be that smart. How many fun-filled seasons till playoffs? Jeez. I hope 1. I hope the answer is 1. I'm afraid it might be 2 or 3 or 4 or 5 or 6 or 7 or 8 or 9. What do I think about Coots' bank pass? Yeah, it reminded me the one to Farabee that he scored right there, as if it's happening right now. I looked at the TV right there as if it happened literally right there. That Joe Farabee goal, they did something similar with Michael Raffle about a game ago where they banked it in off the boards and they sent someone flying where they angled it off the boards to get a good bounce. Now, I thought the boards were very lively to give Joel Farabee that extra push. I thought it's a good play, and I'm pointing it out because I've seen them do that now in 2 games, in the most 2 recent games. So it's something that they clearly have worked on, and they had 2 really good scoring chances off of it. So something maybe to look forward to as this team continues to play, to look for some scoring opportunities. Key piece has to be Eflin. That Eflin report, whoo-hoo! That Eflin report at him, thinking that he's a number 1. Woo-hoo! Woo-hoo! Yeah. Oh, yeah. I'm getting all sucked into that. You got to cool me down because that got me hot. I'm excited for Zach Eflin. He seems to be wired a bit differently. Now, I hope I'm not being fooled. I've been fooled before. I also think I've been fooled before so many times that it changes how I feel about certain players and certain statements. I do need to be proven, right? I'm not just saying automatically that he's going to relate to unbelievable success, but I do feel weirdly optimistic about Zach Eflin. I think he's taking this third starter role as a big step in his career. He's always been a back end of the rotation guy. Now he's going to have an opportunity to be a third, and he thinks of himself as a 1, which is great. I obviously want him to do that, even if he is or isn't. There's something about Zach Eflin that gets me pumped up, which is a wild statement to say. Who is my all-time favorite commenter in the city? Are you talking play-by-play, or are you talking broadcaster, which could be a color commentator, which could be pre- and post-game show? Because if you're talking pre- and post, anyone commentating on a team, analyzing a team on a nightly basis, it's got to be Ricky Bo. Ricky Bo is the flat-out GOAT. It has to be Ricky Bo. If you're talking commentator, it's got to be Mark Zumoff. Now, Harry Kalas is one that is an all-timer. So I guess Harry Kalas could be that number 1 as well. But if you're talking pre and post, it has to be Ricky Bo. Does the Nationals have the best pitching rotation in the National League? No. I think the Dodgers do. Merrill Reese. Yeah, look, here's the problem. I think Merrill Reese is an all-time great. I'm not a radio guy, though. I'm not. As much as I love sports talk radio, I mean, Tom McGinnis, man, I don't think he gets enough love based on him being on the radio, but he might be the best commentator in the city. Tom McGinnis is outstanding, but I'm biased towards TV side of things. I don't like listening to games on the radio. I'm not a big fan of listening to games on the radio. So while I think Ike Reese does a great job and he's the voice of the Eagles, this could be a hot take too. I also think people have the emotion to... Did I just say Ike Reese? Did I say Ike Reese or Merrill Reese? Regardless, you know who I meant. But with Merrill Reese, it's almost like... I hate to say this. But with Doc Emmerich, there was a time when it was over. But his voice is so significant to the sport that you tie big games to him, even though he might not be in his prime anymore. I think Merrill Reese is out of the prime. All right. I don't think Merrill Reese is outstanding anymore, but you like listening to him because of the nostalgic feel, because he is Eagles football. I don't think that's who he is anymore, though. I think that Merrill Reese is now out of his prime, no longer in his prime. And we just associate his prime with the Eagles, where I don't get that feel anymore because I think he's lost a touch. I think he's lost a touch. But that happens with time. It's not as if like it's not warranted. All of these great announcers lose that with age and lose that with just so much years under his belt. And he's now in that category, in my opinion. I think Tom McGinnis is outstanding, though. Snoop Dogg's the best commentator of all time. That's funny. Do I think the Flyers need to trade or maybe sign a free agent? I think, well, yeah, they need to help defensively. But right now, you have 5 of your premier talented forwards out. That's where it's annoying. That's where it sucks. It's there. And it's hard to assess what this team is, considering they haven't been able to be healthy and all. So, with that being said, everyone, it's 10:01. I went 1 minute over the time here. Ooh, extended time, a little overtime. So, look, that's Coffee with Brodes for today. Thank you so much for hanging out. And I will see you tomorrow morning, 9 a.m., for Coffee with Brodes once again. Thank you guys so much, and I will see you all tomorrow.